Well, hello, I'm DBJ, and today on Cinematic Saturday, we're going to talk about war, um, how war is filmed in movies, and how we can use that in our RPG, our tabletop RPG game. All right, so let's consider the three main scenes you see in a war movie, right? So you have your big setup scene. It's where the camera zooms out extremely wide and you see the how many troops there are. Um, Classic one, of course, is Lord of the Rings. Um, you have yourself all the orcs lined up. It's muddy and raining, or there's a big field, and you see the thousands of troops lined up with their spears and swords and everything, and everyone's chanting. Um, the good guys get to make their little speech about becoming immortal and standing up for what they believe in, and let's ride in the battle. All right, so the next scene that they also use in a war movie is you zoom in a little bit. And this time, instead of seeing the entire battlefield and the chaos that's going on, you zoom into, I'll say, 20 to maybe 100 individuals fighting. It could be a tank battle. It could be individuals entrenched somewhere and there's like explosives going on. It could be cavalry riding in and slamming into um, uh, foot soldiers. It could be catapults or something. And then, of course, the main one. And the main scene is the scene where we have our heroes. Maybe it's muddy and they're hiding behind debris while explosives are going on. Maybe they're fighting a bunch of orcs, and then over the horizon, you see arrows flying through the air at them. Or maybe your heroes are dragging a wounded comrade away, and unfortunately, a big giant ogre or troll or monster comes around the corner, so backed up by 30 foot soldiers that are like orcs or hobgoblins or something, and then they have a big fight. So how can we use those three elements in our RPG? Well, as the game master, you can shift between the huge big picture, the middle picture setup, and then the specific action of your players. And using those techniques, literally, you can use the same rules in your favorite RPG, Dungeons and Dragons, or any sci-fi game, or modern, or what have you, to set up these situations. All right, so the idea is you have this big titanic battle. So you zoom out, completely out, and using this technique, you can just describe how the battle is moving and shifting. All right, the good guys have the bad guys on the run. Maybe the bad guys bring in another element. So let's go back to Lord of the Rings. All of a sudden, over the horizon, you see, you know, elephants that are 100 feet tall with 30 troops on the back of each one, and they have tusks that are the size of houses and things like that. So you can set up what's coming. What is this brand new element that's coming into the battlefield? The players may not have a direct action to be able to affect it, but you can say, hey, now there's catapults. Now there's flaming spheres and they're dropping from the sky. So then the next step is to zoom in just a little bit more, right? So we zoom in a little bit more into the immediate danger. Archers firing so many arrows it blots out the sun. The catapults are using chunks of the destroyed temples and throwing them through the air. There's wizards on giant towers casting spells, and they're defended by evil spirits or something like that. And that element, and just hear me out here, that element, you don't even really need to have monster stats. What you're doing is when you zoom into that middle level, you're changing the environment. I am your self-appointed third pillarist. This is the opportunity to explain to your PCs, as you're just describing the battlefield, how the environment is changing. So let's take three examples. Let's take the giant flaming spheres. Let's take the blotting arrows out of the sky, and let's take armored rhinos, right? All right, so you've described how this new element has come into the battlefield. All right, so let's take the flaming spheres. So now when you zoom in on the player characters and their mission and their specific thing, even if the player characters are nothing but minor troops, they are privates, they're less than that. Give them a mission. They don't have to solve the entire battle. Maybe their job is to bring food and supplies to other warriors that are on the battlefield. Maybe their job is there's 20 soldiers that are pinned down and they need to get back to the rest of the army, but they've been cut off by the enemy. So maybe the player character's job is to go there, find them, help defend them, and bring them back. Maybe they're delivering important missives like maps or codes. They could be protecting political prisoners. They could be getting ammo like arrows or javelins or explosive rounds or grenades to entrenched individuals. They could be trying to sneak up on someone, or they could be a distraction, a decoy, so that the enemy doesn't know that there's a sniper around. They could be protecting a sniper, or the player characters could be getting into a position to snipe someone. But just give them a little mission, give them something to do that will change the battlefield for the better for their side. Now that you've given them this mission, now you introduce this dangerous element. So let's go back. I talked about flaming spheres or blotting out the sky with arrows or charging rhinos. So as the player characters try to, get the hidden files, track down the spy, maybe they're shuttling food and water, and all of a sudden in the sky, here come these flaming spheres. So then how do we do that? Like flaming spheres, I don't understand. Look in your book, look up anything look up the spell flaming sphere, look up fireball, look up alchemist fire, look up in your the rules under traps. Just look into traps and just reskin something, right? So you look under traps, like a minor trap, I believe, does like 1d10 damage, medium is like 2d10, I think deadly is like 4d10 for your lower level characters. It also has the ability, this is for a 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. It also has stats for to hit. So you have bonuses to hit. So it's like maybe it's like +1, like 1 to 3, and then like, or 1 to 5, and then like 5 to 7 or something, and 8 and above, whatever the case may be. Establish a to hit. Or better yet, saving throws, right? Now, something we use in critical hit publishing is something called even the odds. And even the odds is like a randomized, as the game master, you don't want to pick people out of a crowd. So everyone picks up a die, doesn't matter. Grab a die, roll it. If you roll an even result, that's because that's what you want. You want an even result. You want to even the odds. If you get an even result, you're not a target. You roll an odd result, sorry, you're probably the one that's going to have to start making the saving throws or the skill check or what have you to avoid danger. So also for the cinematic environs that we at Critical Hit Publishing write, the role of the cinematic environs is to create a situation where it flawlessly merges into your game. So what happens? Well, most dangerous things should happen, or we've decided to happen, on initiative 10. So since you've already set this up, before the next round starts. All right, guys, your allies are entrenched. They are surrounded by enemies. You have to forge your way through the enemy, find them, become a shield wall, protect your allies, and bring them back to camp. All right, player characters are going. They've got their missives. They've got their they're going to go for their sniper position. Doesn't matter. They roll, even the odds. Oh no, two of them got odd results. Great. You see overhead, because you've already described this, flaming spheres flying through the air. Make those dexterity saving throws or suffer 3d6 damage or what have you, fire damage or something when you get hit by a flaming sphere. Oh, you made your dexterity roll. All right, Gregor and Ariana, you dodge out the way from the flaming spheres. It arcs overhead and explodes nearby. And then, because it happens on initiative 10, the player characters, now you've put all the danger, all the decisions into the player character's hands as the game master. You've already let them know, hey, on initiative 10, these flaming spheres are going to come slamming down. If you run out of actions, you don't try to duck and hide, you decide to do something else, here come the flaming spheres. Maybe you tell them, listen, you have to save some of your movement. If you don't save some of your movement, your saving throw is going to be at disadvantage. Or if you move at half speed or slower, now you can look around and look for the danger of this flaming spheres. I'll give you advantage on a roll. But if you dash across the battlefield, if you just blindly run, you'll get across it faster. But guess what? You're at a disadvantage for your dexterity saving throws. What do you want to do? And so you can add these elements in there. As I'm talking, you hear me stacking on more and more mechanics, more and more things. Use as much or as little as you need to create a war scene. So now the player characters, the flaming spheres come down, boom, boom, boom. They avoid them. On the horizon, there's a crest. They see their allies. They've got their shields. They know they've brought food and water for their allies. They've brought ammo. They've brought the secret plans or whatever. We fade back out again. Go to that big scene, like I said at the beginning. The big scene. Okay, the flaming spheres have stopped. We've got the rhinos are coming in. The archers are coming in. Then we zero in a little bit more. Talk to the player characters. Okay, to the east, you see the archers line up. The orc chieftain or orc commander or something is ordering them to get ready to launch their arrows and stuff like that. Or when, on my orders, blah, 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 as he screams in Orcish or whatever. Or maybe they show up a big banner and or blow some horns or something like that. Then we zero in again, back to the player characters. Player characters get some role playing in there. Player characters have met their allies or gotten to their position, or they've dropped off some food. Maybe the person or people that they're supposed to save are like, we're not leaving. We were told to hold this position. Of course, you have to twist it, everything, twist things. So they get there. Oh no, there's too many injured. Or they arrive. Oh, it was a trap. The enemy was actually wearing the outfits and the helmets and the tabards of the allies. No, we've been put into a trap. Or you get there with the secret plans. And you find out that the commander on the good guy's side has been killed by their own troops, and they're like, he was an enemy or something, and you're like, what the hell's going on? Doesn't matter. Throw these elements in there, twists and turns. Of course, what's happening over the horizon? Here come the arrows, and they're blotting out the sun. What do? Dexterity saving throws. I hide behind my shield. I go to take cover. I'm going to just run for it and dash across the battlefield again. All those kind of things. So using war as a way in film, as a way to enhance your game is absolutely possible. Just use the film techniques and use them in your role-playing game. So again, the overall scene of the battlefield. This is where you see thousands. Going back to Lord of the Rings, this is where you see the orcs march up, and then you see the armored elephants, and where you see the catapults and the flaming spheres, as I mentioned before. You may have mounted riders. You may have wizards and towers. You have siege machines of all kinds, battering rams and trebuchets and all kinds of things. Somebody in the comments, tell me what the name of that machine is where you put like, 15, 20, 50 different spears or javelins or arrows in it, and it's able to fire them all off at one time. I know what it is, but if you have even steampunk with cannons and stuff, so you describe all that, then you bring it down to the middle level, you zoom in just a little bit more, then you describe the immediate danger that is going to happen in and around and over top of and directly at the player characters, whether it's snipers or scouts or berserkers. Add in weather elements. It's rainy, foggy, flash flooding, debris falling. So, for example, let's go back to Lord of the Rings. They had catapults. They threw chunks of stone into the catapults. The catapults launch over the castle walls in a Return of the King. We zoom in a little bit. We see that the player characters are running, like player characters, i.e. Gandalf and everyone else, running around the castle walls. The catapults fire. It hits the castle walls. They start hitting the towers. When the chunks hit the towers, now you have collapsing walls. What do the player characters do? Now the player characters have to make, if they're mounted, now they have to make animal handling checks to avoid the falling debris. Maybe there's innocent people, so the player characters have to make charisma checks or even charisma saves or persuasion checks or intimidation checks to get the people to run and move as the collapsing walls are happening. Apply damage, apply a condition. Hey, if you fail your animal handling check, you and your camel or you and your flightless bird are now trapped under debris. You are now incapacitated or restrained. You suffer 2d6 bludgeoning damage, and you have to, or the damage rolled is the DC to escape, or you are now restrained for, roll a die, 1d4 rounds. Or to escape, you must use a strength check to escape with a DC of 13 or something like that. Come up with any kind of rules, whatever the game is, because you've established the bigger battle, how it's moving, whether it's good or bad, in their favor, out of their favor. Zero in a little bit, describe the danger, use all those techniques that they use in film, and then boom, zero in right on the player characters. What are they doing? They're the heroes. They are the important characters. They are the story you're trying to tell. Use the environment, use that third pillar, use the your descriptive element to create the danger around them, have those things happening while the battle is going on. So lastly, as your third pillars, you don't need to separate the environment from the bad guys. All right. Player characters are fighting a horde of orcs, and the castle walls are crumbling around them. Will it affect them equally? Of course. Maybe you want to even the odds on who's going to be a target. Maybe everyone, including the orc horde, may be crumbled by the wall or something. So now the player characters may be able to use and abuse the environment, which I love. So instead of the barbarian attacking, maybe he jumps out front and says, hey, tells his allies, okay, you guys run. I'm going to stay here, allow the orcs to close in on me. And then when the castle wall crumbles, it just buries everybody. And I'm just going to hope that it doesn't affect me. So then one of the player characters is a bard, and like, I scream out to him, pray to Odin and the gods that you'll be safe. Come back to us or something. I give him bardic inspiration. Cool. Well, I'm the cleric. Thor, bless my ally, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So then I'm going to give him a bless spell. And then the barbarian standing there, and you as the game master, you've already set up, okay, you're going to need to make dexterity saving throws against a 15 in order to avoid the crumbling wall when the catapult jump and send all those pieces of debris against the castle walls. Okay, make Roll some dice. Barbarian roll. Oh man, I missed. Okay, how much damage do you take? You're restrained along with them. You're just okay. Party. The barbarian's trapped, but the orc horde is prevented from going through. Now that the debris is falling, there's difficult terrain. That's it. It's difficult terrain, and you're gonna have to make athletics checks to climb over it to find your friend. Make a perception check to see if you can find them in the debris. And you also have enemies there because they're trapped in there too. You see them going on and on and on about all the things you can add in and stuff. So, war in film and in RPGs. This Cinematic Saturday. My 2 cents. I'm DBJ, your self-appointed third pillarist. Please check out Critical Hit Publishing at Drive Through RPG. Check me out, Dave Brian Jackson. Of course, you're seeing this on YouTube. Spread the word, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell. Leave me some comments. I try to respond to as many people as possible. Thank you for your attention and have a good day.